Welcome, everyone, to the You Can't Handle the Truth at Sports podcast. Yet another edition. I think it's number 11 now. Is that
Yep,
right?
that's right. Yep.
Sounds good. And with me as always, I am Rubbish. And with me as always is the Pistol, a co-host, partner in crime. Mate, how you going? You been good?
Yeah, good. Can't complain at the moment.
Very good, very good. When last we spoke, we had a couple of extra guests on, and we were leading into the Derby, and we were, you know, I was certainly a little bit nervous about how we were going to perform. I think the end result of the Derby was, let's face it, better than the first Derby we had last year. But we took the chocolates. There's probably a little bit of controversy that we'll get into a little bit throughout this pod, but overall, 35-point winners. Yeah, we can take that.
Yeah.
We'll have to, I suppose. What were your thoughts? Your thoughts on the Derby?
Yeah, thought they pretty much came to, I guess, play like they did in the first game of the year. We handled it better than we did that time around. And yeah, I think we just went to that next level in the second half, and they couldn't go with us. And I mean, credit to West Coast. They haven't got as much talent on their list as we do, obviously, and they went with us for half a game, and we probably were a bit wasteful going forward. I think I looked at half time, our disposal efficiency was pretty much just above 50, and then I'm just looking at it now again, and it's ended up at 74. So I think we had a massive second half in that sense, and we just cut through them. Still a bit wasteful, I guess, going forward a little bit, but to put effectively 7-8 goals on them in the space of a half was pretty clinical, that second half, really.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting one because I know we want the perfect game. I don't know, but maybe I'm a little bit less tolerant than others. I know I'm definitely less tolerant than others, but what I don't get my head around, and what I continue to battle with, and I had so many arguments this week. We've had, lots of arguments in general about that game, but specifically around why do we start like that? How can you let? I know it's two. There's two teams. One's trying, and it's not like it's just a complete training drill. But why do we let a team like West Coast spend pretty much the first 50 minutes of the game 3 goals up?
Yeah. It's happened a number of times this year. If you go back to, obviously it's early in the year, but back to the North Melbourne game where that could have turned out to be the worst game we could have played if we continued what happened in the first probably 1.5 quarters.
7 goals in that game.
Yeah, we just looked like witches' hats at one stage there in that game, but obviously it wasn't as bad in the week just gone, but the start is worrying. We weren't terrible. We were just getting beaten. They were beating us at the contest. Those contest numbers, contested possessions, clearances, which is our bread and butter, they were on top of. We had the dual rucks there. Bailey Williams was their ruck. We should never be beaten by Bailey Williams. We shouldn't be letting just one player kill us in the clearances, like Harley Reid. He was basically dishing it out to Yo on the outside constantly, and they were cutting us to ribbons early and getting that ball inside. And even Darling was taking marks and just giving if they get the forwards get the balls like that, it doesn't matter how your defence is set up if they get that early ball in.
Yeah, like I said, I'll never know the answer. I'm sure JL would have an answer. Well, I've spoken to him about this in the past, and he doesn't try and make too much of the first quarter starts. That's what he said. Like, when I was bitching to him about how we were always getting smacked in the first quarter, and I'm trying not to make a big deal of it, but I mean, that game, if any, we were going to start out high intensity, I would have thought it would have been that game.
Yeah.
Which is been my disappointment, I suppose. If there is some disappointment, it's just around the fact that we needed to make a statement.
Yeah.
And I've had this argument with plenty of people. Well, what sort of a statement is it against West Coast? Blah blah blah. Well, my point is that statement game can come in multiple ways, or making a statement to the competition can come in multiple ways. I expected us to come out with a level of brutalness and intensity that would have shown that we were a far superior team early on.
Yeah.
I expected us to be 4 or 5 goals up at quarter time.
Yeah.
Now, as you say, credit to West Coast, they didn't let that happen. But how much of that was West Coast, and how much of it was just us not being right? Very hard to judge.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both, to be honest.
Yeah, and yes, we won, but I don't think we made the statement to the competition that we needed, that we probably could have and should have made.
Yeah, if we had played that second half in the first half as well, then that would have been a statement made, because they were pretty ruthless. But the pressure was down in that first half. They were first to the ball. We weren't tackling. Yeah.
So is it youth? Maybe that's part of it. Is it, we were just not switched on? The Eagle was very, very good. Were we playing just very poor? I'm sure it's a combination of all of those things.
Yeah.
But we didn't. Yeah, I left that game feeling just a little bit agitated, because now we have to go and play Essendon over in Melbourne, and they have been getting smashed in the media, and rightly so. They've been garbage. But we need to play a lot better than what we did in that first half, because I think Essendon have a level of talent that could not just put 3 goals on us, but could put 10 goals on us early on. And if we show up like that, well, then we're not legit. And this always comes back to what we've been saying on Twitter. This is the exact game where Freo's expected to stand up, that we will fall apart.
Yeah.
So
I think we need to treat these last few weeks as finals intensity. We just need to come out. I know a lot of that list hasn't played a final, and they're not sure what to expect, but we need to be playing it as if it's a final, because really we lose any games and we risk top 4.
I'd push back against that. Most of our teams played the finals. Most of that team was in against Collingwood and against the Western Bulldogs. Who hasn't? Johnson, Chapman, maybe.
Tracy on the side was a miss played. Sorry,
a miss and Tracy both played.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, fair.
So yeah. Anyway, but I know what you mean. They're not. Yeah. It's not like they're Collingwood, where every player has played like 15 finals. I get your point, but so yeah. I'm really, really worried about this Essendon game. Like I get worried about every game, but this Essendon game, they are missing Jordan Ridley, who's out for another 3 weeks with a hip flexor.
Yep.
They're missing Matt Guelphy, who has been injured pretty much all year now.
I think Parrish is still out too.
No, he played on the weekend, eh?
Did he?
Pretty sure he played last weekend. Let me just double check that. If he's out, then
no, he's not on the injury list. Ridley, Reid, Guelphy is their main ones. No one else sort of on that list there.
So he played last week. Parrish. Now he got smashed for not being effective. He only had 13 touches.
That's probably why I didn't recognise that he was back.
Yeah. So look, back to the point. They've got a couple of players out, but generally this is about as good as they're going to be. They've been smashed in the media.
Yeah.
They've got proud players there who have not been playing well. Guys like Jake Stringer, Peter Wright.
It's a game where he could win the game off his own boot.
Yeah, so we better be, and we know that we don't have we don't have Alex Pearce in. So, we really are in this position where we've got to show up early, because the other thing that's been making me uncomfortable at the moment, and take a guess, me taking a little bit of a negative slant. If we lose this week and the games go the wrong way, we could very well be 8th. So everyone's banging on. Oh, we're 3rd on the ladder. It's false. It doesn't mean.
Yeah, one false step and you're almost done.
We could be 2nd. We could be 1st.
The case in point is the team we're playing against.
Yes, exactly. They've lost a couple of bad losses.
They were top 4 not long ago, and now they're 10th.
So what? Now people are and I look. If you ask me, are we a legit top 4 side? Let me ask you this: are we a legit top 4 side in your mind?
I think we're top 8, not top 4.
Agree. I fully agree. We are fraudulent top 4 side at the moment. I think.
Yeah. Granted, we've beaten 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, but I will count again. If try not to be too negative, but what some people call negative, I call realism. We beat Sydney, great win. Can't argue against that. Brisbane, we got in round 1. That was the perfect time to get them because they were still, probably thinking that
grand final hangover. They had a couple of injuries.
We were 4 points away from being premiers. We really should have won that. We lost to Carlton. We've still got to play GWS and Geelong. And Port Adelaide, and we beat Footscray. But let's face it, the last time they played us, they fucking embarrassed us. They smacked us. So, and the 9th team, Hawthorn, they embarrassed us. Essendon, well, we haven't played them yet, and then you get to Melbourne at 11th, and we smacked them.
Yep.
Twice.
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about anyone from 11 down. I don't think we play them, anyone below that. I think we've got Port, Essendon, obviously.
Port, Essendon, Geelong,
GWS.
Port, Essendon.
So we basically play the top 8.
GWS.
Plus Essendon.
So, yeah. So, people are saying, they're talking top 2, and we could. But I'm not convinced. If we beat Essendon this week, and then I think we can beat Geelong. I've got no real concerns about Geelong. You want to talk about fraudulent teams? I think Geelong's a fraudulent team. So I think we can. If we beat Essendon and Geelong, well then we're well on track for top 2. Port Adelaide always have it over us, so whether it's here or there. So and GWS over there, I don't expect we'll win that. So yeah. It's all there for us.
Yeah. And when we're talking about the what ifs, like we go back to the start of the season with a couple of what ifs 2 weeks in a row. Went over to Adelaide for the gather round and we played Port and we played Carlton. 2 games we should have won, and you look at the ladder now, we win those 2 games, we're on top.
I'll go one step further. Yeah, you're dead right. But we gave up that game against the Eagles by not even rocking up into the car park until the fourth quarter.
So, arguably, when we start talking about fraudulent, 3 games we probably should have won.
Yeah, but we didn't.
Yeah.
And so that's on us. So
absolutely.
Are we that good? I kind of think that the next few weeks are going to be very telling.
We need to at least win all our home games.
Yeah.
And then if we manage to win one of Essendon and GWS, then that's great. Yeah. And that'll get us top 4.
Yeah. You're dead right. You're dead right. I kind of feel like we'll win our home games because, again, I don't rate Geelong very highly.
No. And
I don't, and honestly, Port Adelaide are so hot and cold. We should be beating, and we may. They may rush Alex Pearce back for that game as well, but I doubt they'll rush him. But he might be right. You know.
yeah,
We'll have to see on that one. So anyway, back to the Derby. Look, it was a bit of willingness in that game. We've had plenty of toing and froing between West Coast and Eagles supporters about.
yeah. I've copped a bit of heat this week.
Yeah. Look, and we're obviously talking specifically about Harley Reid. My take on Harley Reid is that he's a very good player. He's got a skill set that translates to him being a big game player. He really does remind me of Dustin Martin.
Yeah.
Except he has a precociousness, a cockiness, and arrogance.
Yeah.
That makes him very, very unlikable.
Yeah.
He's not on your side. He's got a shit-eating grin. He whinges and bitches to the umpires all the time. He started a lot of what happened. In my mind, he started a lot.
Yeah.
Of what happened on the weekend?
Oh, absolutely. And if you're talking to West Coast fans, they don't see it that way.
No.
All they see is the extra attention we put into a 14 gamer.
Yeah.
And I guess my response to that is, well, your 14 gamer is your best player, which says a lot about your club. Yeah. And the guy was dominating clearances, so why wouldn't we put extra attention into him? Like,
and extra attention. People banging on Andy Brayshaw. What he did, all he did was push him after. Like, there was nothing.
The amount of people that commented that Bray should have been done for weeks for an elbow to the back of their head. Like, are they watching the same game?
It wasn't. So, and the fact that the umpires and the MRO, who will suspend anyone for anything,
and they proved that. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that they didn't even cite it. That says it all. But look, Harley Reid. I will also say this. Maybe this is just me. I know he got 10 clearance. He got 29 touches. I don't remember him actually doing anything of any effect. Other than
I wouldn't. If you asked me, say during the fourth quarter, how many touches he had, I would have said he had around, say, the 15 to 20 mark. I wouldn't have thought he had that many.
So, good player.
Like, he's obviously getting those little handballs in, and you don't really notice it, but
yeah.
He did have, and I'll just double check this, but I thought he had pretty high meters gained.
Yeah, I think it was like 400 meters gained or something like that. So,
I know, he was only 294. I thought he was up around the 5 as well.
So, how impactful was he? Look, we already know the West Australian media.
So, to compare that, James Aish was the sub, and he got 263.
Yeah, that's actually a very good comparison. And he came in. It wasn't even a 3/4 time. He came in like 5 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they sub-5 out. Okay, so look, I don't want to go too far either way with Harley Reid. He is a good player. I really didn't think he was that good on that week. That week, yeah, he got a lot of the ball. Roma City used to get a lot of the ball as well, and you never used to know what the hell.
Yeah.
So, and that's showing my age. Probably had an outdated reference there, Roma City. So, yeah, look, he chirpy, fiery. I would love him at Freo. Hate him as a Freo supporter.
Yeah.
And like I said, when he's playing for a team in Victoria in a couple of years' time, I'll like him no more.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to start liking him then. But it's probably not as much to do with the Eagles as it is about his behaviour on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a pretty good player, but and I think that's what the booing's coming down to as well. There was a lot of talk around that.
Yeah.
It's just every contest he's at, someone whinging or carrying on, and
Yeah.
I think that's where that was coming from, and not from just because it's Harley Reid.
Well, the other thing that I've been trying to get West Coast supporters to recognise, they make out like this is the first time he's been booed. He gets booed every game by every supporters. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
It's not just Freo. Yeah, we probably were louder because we like him less.
Yeah.
But he's been getting booed by. He got booed by St Kilda supporters last weekend. So, you know, it's not just us, right? A lot of people have recognised the way he is, and you know, geez, I tell you what, the comparison for him is spot on. He carries himself and plays, I think, a similar brand of footy to what Ben Cousins played. He really is a very, very similar Ben Cousins. And Strut and just, he's not very likable. I guess on that game further, we had Caleb Sarong get his third Glendenning Allen medal. Well deserved. He's a superstar, that guy. He's just so composed. He's got amazing hands. He doesn't fumble. He makes the right decisions. All right, he doesn't have Hayden Young's kick, but he's got everything else, and he's still, very passable by foot. So very, very, I think a worthy winner. But I will say this: I didn't have him as winning the Glendenning medal. I actually had your man as being a little bit more effective, Andy Brayshaw. So he would have got me.
Yeah.
I would have voted him.
I thought that was between those two. I wasn't going to be too upset either way. I thought those two just carried that midfield pretty strongly.
Yeah, and the other one who I think, if you want to talk about just overall impact on the game, you want to talk who broke the game open. I think it was Big Josh Tracy again in that third quarter. He just imposes himself on the game. He really does play like Carey.
And that's the thing. If he's not getting the actual ball, he'll go and impose himself and lay a big tackle or crash a big pack or something like that.
So. Yeah, he's just such a good player, and I got that one so wrong. I
think a lot of people have got that one wrong, mate.
Yeah.
There's a couple that were on him from the start.
My old man has banged on about him since the second he saw him kick 5 goals in his first game. Under.
Yeah.
And and then he got elevated pretty quickly, and I just didn't see it. But I think I said this week, the Dockers, we've obviously got a lot going on with our contract situations, and trying to bring players in and out. But Josh Tracy, they should be giving him a 7-year deal, I think. And I know he's still got another couple of years. I think he's through till 2026.
Yeah, I dare say with his form, he's going to be looking to lock that in. Well, we're going to be looking to lock that in as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, we will be looking to lock that in. I don't know whether he will be. But if he's happy, you give him. He deserves a big payday.
I think he loves playing with Jai as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's at risk of leaving.
No. I don't think there's anyone really at risk of leaving. The only one that I'm not really worried about it if he does leave is Banfield.
Yeah.
I think he could be involved. I know he's from WA, from up in Broome, but I think he's one that they could throw up potentially to a Richmond type.
Yeah.
If we get the players we're looking at for next year, then he's not in our best 23. So if he wants to play senior football, then a potential move to Richmond might be the case for him.
I agree with that.
Because that'd be a Baker replacement for them.
Yeah, he's out of contract at the end of this year.
He is, yeah.
And, the Dockers have a 2-year deal on the table for him, I believe. But I'm with you. Like someone pointed out yesterday, like how can the Dockers afford all of this? And I see look, I'm a salary cap truther. I believe that things can be manipulated around to fit people in. Like if people are saying, "Oh, but you've got Darcy and you've got Jackson and you've got Brayshaw and Sarong and Young, how can you get Bolton and Warner?" I think that there's a way that it can be done. Right? I honestly do.
Yeah, they'll
But
alter contracts to back ended or front ended or whatever it is.
now, there's another player who's not signed at the moment. No, he is. It's next year. Yeah, okay, but there's ways to get around it, right?
Yeah.
Now, Banfield, I wouldn't blame him if he can see if the Dockers are legitimately trying to get Baker. I don't know why they would be, but if they are, and then if Shai Bolton, it looks now more likely than not that he's actually going to get to Fremantle. Unless Richmond dig their heels in ridiculously and say we want 4 first rounders.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I would say I would shake Banfield's hand and say, you know what, do what you got to do, mate. We get it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't get Baker in, Shai Bolton is going to be taking a half forward flanker role, right?
Yeah.
That's who. I'm not dropping Frederick. I'm, the person who's out of that forward line for me is Banfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other one who, if Baker were to come across, my man, I reckon would be in a bit of trouble, and that is James Aish, who...
He's just started to get on the outer.
Yeah. I love the guy. He's like one of my favourite players. But I'm thinking now, like, it seems that Wagner is getting that sort of halfback flanker sort of role.
Yeah.
Like Wagner too. He's been playing well.
Yeah. He signed this week.
Yeah, he did sign for a couple of years this week. So
I think it's Wagner's pace they like too.
Yeah. So, Aishi may be in trouble. I hate to say it. I'm almost at the point of, well, kind of looking forward to Walters and Fife retiring a little bit. Not looking forward to it, but if I'm thinking of players that are going to drop out now, who I'd go, yeah, okay, that's probably fair enough. Walters and Fife are in that list.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. If it's not this period, it's going to be next. So.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's interesting the Bolton one.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've been interested, right? And we've obviously spoken to him, and Richmond poured cold water on it and hosed it down. But I mean, he's obviously, or his management have obviously said he's keen to come back. But I mean, he's still got a 4-year deal there. So my take on that is we offer a reasonable offer, and I've gone through some trades over the last few years, and nothing. There's been no massive, apart from Jeremy Cameron. That was the last one that got 3 first rounders. There's been like a first rounder and a late first, like a top 10 and a late first round. That's been the highest sort of thing, and maybe like Luke Jackson sort of thing with a second rounder in there. So I reckon we offer first rounder, maybe this year, future first. Take it or leave it. They leave it, then who cares?
Yeah.
We'll move on to Warner. I mean, are we really going to sell the farm and risk not getting Warner just to get Bolton? Or risk losing both?
Well, I think this decision would be made easier, and, obviously I'm not privy to the conversations that Chad Warner and the Dockers are having, but I think Warner would have wanted to have given, or the Dockers would have wanted Warner to give a pretty decent idea as to whether it's going to happen or not. And if it's not this year, next year. So,
the thing with Warner, though, is the way his form's been. If we're going to go for him, I think it needs to be this period, unless we trade our picks into next year.
Yeah, so I could see us. I could, I could see us being in a situation where we don't have any first rounders for the next few years.
Yeah, and that's fine
And I'd be
because we've
okay with that.
gone
If we got us
gone to
Bolton
the draft for the last however long apart from when we got Jackson, right? So we've got a handful of first rounders in the door. And when we haven't, we've traded for guys like Jordan Clark, your Luke Jacksons. We've got lucky with Tracy, got lucky with Sharp, who cost us nothing. So if we give them up and what we get out of it is Warner and potentially Shy Bolton, then I'm more than happy to give up first rounders.
Yeah. If we were to get those two, I'm with you. I'd be happy to say goodbye to the draft for a few years, at least at the front end. Although the risk, I suppose, is with Tasmania coming in, it'll probably be then therefore, not just 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at
the list
our
profile.
age and demographic of our list, it's young enough that we don't necessarily need to have those first rounders during that Tasmania.
No, I agree. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Like the fact that the story has gone with Bolton, that Fremantle have been having discussions with him very quickly to Shy Bolton is interested and will be looking to pursue a move back to Fremantle.
I just think there's something going on at Richmond too. It's almost got that. I think I posted it on Twitter or X before. It's almost got that Collingwood fire sale vibe to it. Not to that extent, and I don't. If they're in that position, that's got to be some sensational poor list management on their behalf. Obviously, they got 3 flags out of it, but they must have some big contracts there that they need to get rid of. Rioli wanting to get out. The other, and I'll say something else in a sec, but Rioli wanted to get out. Bolton wanted to get out. Dusty's about to leave. Is Luzo?
Well,
there's some rumours coming out about that.
Is there? I haven't heard that.
There's some rumblings that he might not last. It doesn't. A large, from what they're saying, a large portion of the senior players don't get along with him.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just can't see how Richmond would be like. I could see with Collingwood.
Yeah.
They had a competitive team at that time. And they obviously had some big contracts they had to let go of some. I could see them being in that trouble, but you look at who Richmond are playing, like who do Richmond have on their list right now who would be on big money?
We had Taranto, Hopper were big deals to come across.
True, but
Tom Lynch
ended it all, I suppose.
Yeah, Tom Lynch has been on a bit.
Grimes is finished. He's gonna
Baker. They're trying to offer a big deal too.
But he's not going to be
there. Yeah, but Rioli would have a contract. Bolton's got his 4-year deal still. As you say, I can't think of too many others.
I look at them and then I look at Freo, and I would say that I reckon Freo have as many of those sorts of contracts as what they would.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there just has to be an underlying story somewhere.
Yeah. Or is it simple, mate? Is it sometimes Occam's razor? Sometimes what's right in front of you is actually the truth. Is it just that Baker and Bolton
just want to come home?
Or just want to play in a team that's actually going to win?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm not real worried about Chad Warner requesting a trade to the Eagles, especially if they get rid of Tom Barrass and Waterman.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really competitive now. You take those two out of
take 2 of their spine out.
Yeah, and then McGovern is injured every other week anyway, and
Yeah. So you're going to have
holy,
Harry Edwards as your key defender.
they are going to they. It is going to be like you lose those two. We already know they're going to be in a world of pain. You lose those two, my goodness, they are. It's going to be a long, long road for them, like longer than what I thought.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess that then leads into why there hasn't been and many people come out or many coaches put their hand up and say, "Yeah, I'm keen."
yeah,
Like you've had the odd one, Jamie Graham, a couple of others. Obviously, Jared Schofield is doing the job now, but no one's jumping out of their skin to say, "Yeah, pick me, pick me."
didn't I
And
say
I know
something?
the season's still going on, but
Didn't I say something about Paul Roos potentially throwing his hat in the ring?
I didn't see that. But yeah,
Yeah, he was in Perth recently. But again, goodness me, like, why would you take that? Like, they haven't even bottomed it out yet. That's the problem.
well, just on Paul Roos though, he took over that Melbourne side. That was an absolute shit show. If you remember back to when they got pumped by almost 200 against, or might have been 200 against the Cats.
Yeah,
So he took that side from an absolute rabble and handed that over to Goodwin. So
yeah, but he's got form.
maybe they're thinking the same thing.
Why would he want to do that?
Challenge me, I don't know. The West, as much as I hate West Coast, that if you're a coach, that's probably one of the prime coaching roles in the comp.
They're not short on funds, are they?
Yeah.
And, you know, they get their dick sucked by the media all the time, so there's not going to be a lot of backlash in the media.
Yeah.
Although, you know, towards the end of Simpson's tenure there was, but again, that's just.
That just happens with any coach. Like, look at what happened when Ross was getting nailed. He was the back page for weeks, months.
It's different at Freo though, mate. They're always going to take pot shots at us, no matter whether we're good, bad, or ugly, right?
Yeah.
So, but with West Coast, they're going to protect him pretty well for a long period. If I was them, Paul Roos, I wouldn't even have any other interviews. I'd just go, "Hey, Paul, do you want the job?" But if he doesn't, again, I don't know. Like, as I understand, his wife's American. He spends a lot of time in the US. Like, I don't know why or if he'd want to do it.
Yeah. I think it'd take a bit to get him over there. He might have had the conversation, but I think it'd take quite a bit to bring him back into the coaching line.
He's been out of it a bit too. That's the other thing. Like,
yeah.
He's always a very defensive.
Yeah, I think they need someone that's been in the game recently. Not playing wise, but around the game.
Yeah, they're going to have to pick someone. So it's just interesting. I just don't know who or how they're going to get anyone who's going to actually change things. Like, if I'm a first time coach, I would not want that job. Like, I tell you, the person if I were them, who I would approach. If Paul Roos isn't legit, and to be honest, I'm a little bit sceptical about, now that I think about it a bit more, about whether he's been out of the game. I'd go to Justin Leppich.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. He's been around successful sides. I know his time at Brisbane wasn't great, but Collingwood, Richmond.
And even playing under Matthews and even at Brisbane, I don't think he was terrible, right? Like like when put it this way, it wasn't like he was Mark Neal.
No. And I mean, look at Voss. He had the similar situation where he failed at Brisbane as well, and then he's gone to Port Adelaide as the assistant, right? And now he's going all right as the Carlton coach. So maybe it just didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We'll wait and see on this one, but like they're talking. I hear a lot of Eagle supporters saying, "Oh, it's 2 first-round picks or nothing for Barrass." And I'm like, "Fuck me, surely no one would pick that up for him." Like, I know Hawthorn, they reckon, are in the box seat, but Barrass is what? He's going to be 29 or 30 next year. Like,
yeah, you're not getting multiple first rounders for Barrass. He'll fail a medical anywhere he goes. like he had that interview recently with Ryan Daniels, and when I say recently, it was probably in the pre-season, where he basically said he deals with that broken back every day. It gives him issues, and he's one contest away from it all being over. So, I've got no issue with. Obviously, he's a West Coast player. I've got no issue with him trying to make as much money as he can, especially while he's playing at West Coast with no legitimate shot at a flag in the next 5 years, or maybe longer.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that. I just,
I don't understand the approach from the other clubs, though, to be honest.
Yeah,
I do, to an extent. Like, if you get a couple of years out of him, and if you're Collingwood or you're Hawks, it might just be that player to get you into a grand final.
Yeah. The Hawks have form too. Like, they got Brian Lake late
Yeah.
in his career.
And Sam Mitchell coached him while he was at West Coast too, so he knows what he's getting.
Yeah, I mean,
Sicily obviously needs help down the back line for the Hawks as well. And I mean, they're going to be a scary side. But they're just as young as us, and I think Mitchell's got something cooking there. Just the way he's got them playing.
Yeah.
They've still got Mitch Lewis to come back into that side. They've still got players out. So.
Well, who's to say Mitch Lewis is ever going to get back, mate? He just tore his knee up. Like, look, yeah, they're playing well. Good on them. I don't know that they're as good as what everyone's been saying. Yes, they've won. They've gone on a tear. They made us look stupid, but I would argue we made us look stupid as well that game.
Yeah.
Yes, talented, but I think if they're going to start going down the path of, we'll get Tom Barrass in, we'll do this and trade away our early picks, they're going to fail because they're still relying on guys like Mabior Chol, and yes, he's had a good year, but he's not in any length of the stretch of the imagination a great.
But to be fair to Chol, he's top 5 in tackles inside 50 in the comp.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying that he's not the player that you're going to be building a forward line.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, and yeah, I just reckon that bringing in a 29, Barrass leaves, he goes on a 5-year deal. Is he going to be in a premiership in that 5 years at Hawthorn? I don't know that they're going to win a premiership in that time. And if he gets injured or whatever, and then they give away early picks, when I think that they're far from a finished product. Their midfield isn't exactly great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they've got some good players, but put it this way, I'd be more comfortable with, say, Freo's midfield and centre line and spine than what I would be Hawthorn.
Yeah, I mean, our midfield's rated number 1 anyway, so if you're looking at clearances and contested balls, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is a very interesting one. We'll watch this space because if they make the finals, they might create a bit of damage, might create a bit of havoc, but we'll see. They might take our spot, mate. All right, look, I just want to have a quick break. So we'll listen to a quick song and then we'll get back into it. When we get back, I'd like to discuss some of Freo's young talent that we've got coming through. We can explore a little bit more into the potential trade saga that's going to come, and we've got a few players out of contract, so we can discuss that as well. This is You Can't Handle the Truth Sports podcast. This song is by Moby. help me. Extreme ways that help me out late at night. Street places I had gone, but never seen any light. Dirty basements, dirty noise, dirty places coming through. Between walls alone, ever like it, man. I can't stand in line for this. There's always room in life for this. Oh, baby, oh, baby, then it fell apart, fell apart. Oh, baby, oh, baby, then it fell apart, fell apart. Oh, baby, oh, baby, then it fell apart, fell apart. Oh, baby, oh, baby, like it always does, always does. Street times told me, held me down every night. I didn't have much to say, I didn't give up the light. I closed my eyes and closed myself and closed my world and never opened up to any shame. You could get me at all. I had to close down everything, I had to close down my mind. Too many things caught me, too much could make me blind. I've seen so much in so many places, so many heartaches, so many faces, so many dirty things you couldn't even believe. I don't stand in line for this. It's always good in life for this. Oh, baby, oh, baby, then it fell apart, fell apart. Oh, baby, oh, baby, then it fell apart, fell apart. Oh, baby, oh, baby, then it fell apart, fell apart. Oh, baby, oh, baby, like it always does, always does. Welcome back to the You Can't Handle the Truth Sports podcast. We've had a pretty good chat so far. Back on board, mate.
Yep.
Sweet as. So, we've obviously had some pretty good discussions on where Freo's positioning may be for players like Bolton and Warner. Just wanted to look in our own backyard for a second.
Yep.
Just trying to bring up the Fremantle out of contract players or soon to be out of contract players.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a list here.
Yeah, maybe.
So you got Banfield, Conrad, Hughes, Stanley, Corbett, Reedy, Tabs, Noble, Driz, Odin, Vossi, Sturt, Siebert, and Tommy Emmett.
Yeah, so there's a few players there that I think, we want to be keeping around. Right?
Yeah.
The first one that comes to mind, I think, is Sturt. Sturt
Yep.
has well and truly earned himself a new contract.
Same as Vossi.
And Voss. I'd give Sturt multiple years because I think that I know it took him again a little bit of time to get into to break into the team and get into the season. But like he did last year, he really is showing his value. And I noticed, I don't know if you noticed after the Derby, the little whisper in the ears that JL was giving him, and then they made it, and then they gave him the trophy to carry back into the room. So
yeah,
I think he's starting to do things on the field that are really expected of him, and centering around forward line pressure. The 1%ers. He didn't kick.
Yeah.
I think he kicked one goal on the weekend, but even the Dockers Twitter page handle when he kicked his goal. Been doing the hard stuff all day, finally gets reward, So I think the feeling from the club internally now around, or my read on it, is that Sam Sturt is improving in those areas that they wanted him to. And, he may kick goals or he may not, but he will always keep his position if he's able to do those little things. Yeah. I actually really rate Sam Sturt. I always have, even from his first game against Essendon where he kicked 3 goals, I think, in the first.
Yeah, he's just been unlucky with some injuries. So.
And I think Kyle, who brought it up last week, or he was on our pod last week, he's always said to him, look, it just doesn't seem intense enough. Maybe it's a question on his intensity. Look, some players look laconic. Dave Mundy never looked like he was trying. But,
yeah.
But his actions always proved that he was. Whereas I think with Sturt, maybe there was a little bit of laconicness about him that held him back slightly. But I think he seems to be, removing that. The other thing that I think that helps with him is he is now in a forward line with 3 big lugs. I think all 3 of those guys have great intensity around tackling pressure, crashing packs, and so they're setting a bit of an example, a bit of a tone, and he's a part of that now, and he needs to be the guy that is not the guy that's taking the big pack marks or doing anything, because that's not his job, but to be matching that intensity, and when he gets his opportunities to be put through the sticks, which he's good at, he's an accurate kick.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So the other one, some of the other ones on that list, I see Reedy getting another go. For me, though, it would be whether he wants to. And by saying that, I mean the obvious thing is that he's never going to be the number 1 at Fremantle as long as Darcy and Jackson are around. He's never going to get an opportunity. It's going to be Lloyd Meek all over again. Been close to a debut, I think, on a couple of occasions, but just not getting that go. But from everything that I've heard, Peel Thunder, they're very impressed with him, and that he is very much a talented player who could probably play at that level. Have you seen much of him?
I haven't seen too much. I've read what a lot of people have commented on, and some of the guys that I take note of what they say, they're pretty high on him.
Yeah. So, look, I think finding backup ruckman is a pretty easy thing to do, right? And that's why there's always every year what Fumi says about the ruck merry-go-round, and that's why we lost Meek. And good on Meek, he's playing some decent footy. He was always a good AFL level player, right?
Yeah.
So with Reedy, I see we would offer him. We may have already offered him an extension. Noble's another one. I would offer him an extension just because he was always a project player and has been very highly rated, like from his draft age. But he came to us as an absolute beanpole, and he's going to take 4 or 5 years just to develop. So I would have no problems with them giving him that extra time to develop.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yep.
Spoken about Banfield, where that sits, we'll find out. The longer it goes on, obviously, the more I think that maybe he might be considering a move elsewhere. But if we get if the unthinkable happens and we get Bolton and Baker, then Baker straight away, like that's Banfield is.
Well, both those guys are going to take his spot. So
yeah. No, you're right. So that's one. Sebbett, I reckon they'll keep Sebbett.
Yep.
Raw, natural, talented key forwards who was showing a bit before he did his knee.
And showed a bit already on his comeback so far from all reports. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Emmett. I think Emmett will get a contract extension.
Yeah, the way he played on the last week and what he's previously brought to the table,
Yeah.
agree.
They'll give him 2 or 3 years, I'd say. But other than that, I reckon like Conrad, I don't think they'll keep him. I don't think.
Yeah, it's disappointing with Conrad. He was one that I was pretty high on. I've seen glimpses of him, and I'm just you see that the potential star there, but he's very raw and he's a beanpole, and yeah, it'd be a long burn or slow burn, I should say.
So he may move on. Corbett, I think, will move on.
Stanley will go.
Ethan Stanley will go.
What's your thoughts on Taberner?
Yeah, look,
he's obviously behind a wall of key position players now, Voss included. So
Taberner, I said this last week, and I stand by it. I reckon they should be playing him at centre half back.
So, a few people went throwing this out in the media, not in regards to Taberner, but when you've got a player from a forward half player, you throw them back before you throw them out. And this is coming from ex-coaches like Buckley, and obviously Gary Lyon as a coach, but he said it as well. You throw them back before you throw them out. It happened with Chris Tarrant. It's happened with our own Brennan Cox.
Look at Lob. If
Lob
be a centre half back, then
Paddy McCartan.
Yeah. No, look, there's a long history of it, and probably that was in my mind when I first thought about it. But yeah, I just think that everyone put it this way: I'd rather keep Tabs for an extra year or two and develop him as a centre half back than spending another first round pick on another fucking key defender.
And I don't think his field kicking has ever been that bad. I think he was one of the better ones.
Yeah, his kicking would be fine. I think Ryan or Ryzak or yourself or whoever it was last week said, his turning circle probably isn't what it needs to be. And okay, that was probably something I didn't really consider. But he is quick off the mark. In a straight line, he is quick enough. So
the guy he would remind me of from body frame would be, and I'm not at all saying that he'd be a comparison as skill-wise in the defensive half, but Stephen May for body type.
Yeah.
And I'm not nowhere saying that he's going to be Stephen May or anything like that. I'm just saying he's got that physique.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I was actually going to say Jones from Western Bulldogs, but yeah. But I think...
And even Jones, you just mentioned, was another one. He was a forward at Carlton.
Yeah, forward for Carlton, then came back and... Well, he was drafted...
Well, he left because of COVID.
So he was drafted by the Bulldogs as a forward. And then he went to Carlton and they turned him into a defender. And then COVID came and then he's come back as a defender. So, look, I just reckon that there's a way... Put it this way, how many options do you reckon Taberner would have to be in the AFL if we delist him at the end of this year? Do you reckon anyone would take him?
Given his age, not many. Unless you're walking down the road. But even then, they're going to be prioritising youth.
Yeah. So, I would look, and maybe the club's had these decisions. Maybe he's just like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
In which case, all right, we'll let you go. Yeah, but I'd hope the club's thinking about that because with Pearce going down, Oscar McDonald about to start playing minutes again, but he went down. All it's going to take is Brendan Cox to go down.
That's where I was getting to last week with my comments around. We're a little bit on the weak side in the defensive half. I know you got your thoughts on that, how we keep drafting these backline players. It was more along the lines of if a couple of those went down, and I know that's the same for every other side, but it sort of goes to your point with Taberner.
But it's the same for every other position. And my point is on that is that it's the same for every other position, except we don't have the depth in every other position that we do in backline. So Pearce goes down, we can cover that. right? If Pierce, Cox, and Ryan go down, well, we're never going to be able to cover
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
No team can. If Tracy goes down, we're fucked. Like, but again, we would always, if your big key forward always go, well, let's say if we lose 2 key defenders, we can cover that. If we lose
Yeah.
Strong and Young, we're screwed.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Now, I just feel like we. And the other part to that is that I honestly feel like you can find key defenders as rookies a lot easier than you can key forwards. How many key position forwards have we been through as rookies to get to Tracy? And don't just think about that from a Fremantle context. Think about it from an AFL context.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
many key position forward rookies have there been that are
yeah. You
decent?
count on one hand.
Exactly. So we can find Luke Ryan in a rookie draft. You know,
Yeah.
we've found Josh Tracy, but he is 1 in a million. And so, okay, let's get the depth. Let's get the depth. We picked up Oscar McDonald off the scrap heap, and he looked like he was going to be very, very good, and I still think he will be, right?
Yeah.
So we can go down that avenue. I'm happy with that, but don't be using a top 50 pick.
Yeah. No, I agree. When you got someone there that you're probably not going to play anyway, why not give him
Yeah,
a crack?
yeah, yeah. So
He may, his management might try and float him around this trade period and just see
I'm sure
what's around. I mean, his injuries, he's never on the park either.
no.
So
Yeah, I'm
there
100%
wouldn't be too many clubs sticking their hand up, if any.
not to trade. He might
No,
be.
no.
He might be like
The listed free agent sort of thing.
I could see him going to North Melbourne as a listed free agent. You know, to
Yeah.
play. You know, to play in that. You know, just as a reserve backup. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Now next year, I think we've done a pretty good job at signing most of our players. But the one player who probably next year will be out of contract is Andrew Brayshaw. So I know we've discussed this guy ad nauseum from certain angles, but wondering what your thoughts are on whether, like, is he a flight risk?
I don't think he is. I think he's quite settled over here in this side. I can't see him going elsewhere. I think there's going to be big offers coming. I mean, he could potentially walk out the door, but I just don't think he will.
Yeah, I don't. He doesn't seem the type, does he? Kind of like
No, he's not one that's. He's a bit like Sarong in the sense that, like, even Sarong's family said that as soon as he was drafted by Freo, they knew he was never coming back.
yeah, that's
So
right.
Brayshaw's got he's got family that's still over here from
Yeah, I don't think
from his old man's side and the rest of it. So it's not like he's got homesickness to go back
No,
over east.
I don't think that would be the driver for him moving.
Yeah.
I think the driver for him moving would be.
And the other thing
Like,
will be his missus is also from WA and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
The driver for him moving, I think, would be, if he were to move, would be somebody's offered him like 1.3 million a year, and the Dockers are offering him 800,000.
yeah. So I think you mentioned it before. The Saints were the ones that were going to come knocking, and I think they would have already.
Yeah,
But
and now
yeah.
they're talking about potentially letting Jack Steele go.
Well, they do need to do something about that midfield. That's, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, they've got Liam Henry, mate. They're fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. So look, I agree with you. I don't think he's probably a flight risk, but yeah, I guess we'll see. Righto, mate. Anything else you want to cover, or
Just quickly on sort of the trade sort of scenarios for, say, a Shy Bolton. I was just had a few pages up last
Sorry.
night.
Can I just interrupt? Just got a message from Freo. Key forward Josh Tracy has signed a 4-year contract extension on top of his 2 years.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yo, Biote.
There we go.
He's extended through until 2030.
No, that's him not going anywhere now.
The offer was there to hang on for a bit longer, and look, it was clearly a no-brainer with the situation the club is in, the way that I feel it is going to go. Giving back to the club what they've given to me a few years ago. Repay the club and fans. That has made my day. Other than talking
that
to
is
you,
some quite
that has
good
made
news.
my day. Sorry, back to your trade scenario.
Well, draft. So there's a site Draft Guru, right? And basically it gives you what the trades that actually happened in the past, so you can go back and check it out, right? So if we're looking at, say, a Shy Bolton and a comparable player, and I'm not talking about position on the ground, but sort of his stature in the game, Josh Dunkley.
Yeah.
When he went from Dogs to Brisbane. So Brisbane gave up a first rounder, which ended up being pick 15, a fourth rounder and a second and a fourth rounder, and then they got back obviously Dunkley and a third rounder in return. So if we're looking at that, and I know the Richmond people are talking about 3 first rounders for Shy.
Yeah.
Something similar to that deal is not out of the question if I'm Freo.
Yeah.
A late-ish first rounder, a second rounder, and then you haggle on some pick swaps at the end of it.
The only thing, though, as I understand it, Dunkley wasn't contracted.
Yeah, so there is some mitigating circumstances there, but there's some other ones, like Taranto was 2 first rounders, 12 and 19. Lockie Schultz, obviously a different player. He was picked 34 and a future first. So a second rounder and first rounder.
Yeah.
Hopper.
Hopper, I think, had a.
He was Richmond gave up a first rounder and got Hopper plus late picks back. Then you look at Lockie Neal. Lions gave up pick 6, 19 and 55.
So that might be the comparison, right?
Yeah, so 6, 19 and 55 while receiving Neal in selection 30.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be around a late first rounder and a second rounder, and whether it's a late first and a...
Richmond are going to demand that pick 7 or whatever Collingwood pick is.
Yeah, but if we're going after Warner, then that pick's not going to be there.
Warner might be next year, though, mate. This is the thing.
Well, we might get him next year.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a world we got those two this period, though? I think you would have to take back everything you said about Wolves.
I'd have to start my stonemasonry apprentice. Build him a statue out there at the front of the club. I have said that if we get Bolton and Warner, then
that's a scary proposition. Adding those two.
Oh, you'd have to think you would be premiership contention, right?
So how confident are we that we're going to be allowed to access the next 2 years of first rounders?
Very. Toomey says often on his gettable, yeah, that's going to happen this year.
So for this trade period?
Yep.
Fuck.
Well, that's
That
what.
just increases our draft hand.
So the question
We've
is,
already got the best draft hand.
yeah. So the question is, how much confidence do we have in Toomey? I've got good confidence in him. He's not often wrong.
He'd be one of the better ones.
He's also the one who's talking about.
Bolton.
He's also the one breaking the Bolton news. So
yeah, and as you say, it's interesting that he's gone from Freo courting into the other way around.
Get me over there. I'm willing to come. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna have to see, mate. Yeah,
Yep.
that's interesting. Yeah. I can see us. I can see Richmond saying, "We want your pick 7. We want your pick 14, and we want your pick." I can see them saying, "We want all 3 of those picks."
And they might do, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like if they come back and want the 3 first rounders, then sorry, deal with your 4-year contract.
The only thing that worries me a bit though with that, and I'm going to have to go in a minute, but the only thing that worries me with that is that the Dockers have done a lot of work, obviously, in the background to get this discussion across the line.
Yeah.
They don't do those things
unless they think
they think that they can get it done.
Yeah.
And if they think that they can get it done, then they are considering, all right, we'll give you those first 3 picks, but you give us Bolton and Baker.
Fuck. If you're given 3 for Bolton, what are you giving for Warner then?
Yeah, well, more. But that's the thing. I don't think it would be 3 for Bolton. I reckon it would be 3 for Bolton and Baker.
Fucking hell.
That's what worries me. Yeah, that's what I kind of feel like they might be the avenue they might be looking at. As much as we don't rate Baker,
do you have to make a pick in the draft?
As much
we
as
might not have a pick left.
Yeah, but again, that's contingent on Baker wanting to even come to Freo. That's one thing that I don't like about him. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to convince a guy to come, especially a guy who's not that good. Like,
yeah. I mean, from Baker's point of view, I know we've said about why would you want to go and play for West Coast at the moment, but he's got the same deal at Richmond. So it's like for like, he's just chasing the money and coming home.
Yeah, coming home, win a few best and fairest.
Or you could come to Freo, probably on a little bit less than West Coast are going to give you, and you've got a shot at a flag.
Yeah, which he's already got 2 or 3 of.
Yeah.
All right, mate.
Yep.
Good job by you. Yep, very much enjoyed that. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll reconvene again next week. I'd say hopefully after a big win against the Bombers.
Sunday.
Got a pep in my step after that Josh Tracy news. I'm strutting around like a peacock now. So good stuff.
Yep.
And we'll catch up again soon.
No worries.
Isn't this what you came here for?